Hello everyone, welcome back to Analogue A Hate Story. I just filmed about 20-25 minutes of this before I realized that while I was technically recording the game, it didn't process me changing through the pages, so it was just stuck on the home screen in the video. And then when I went to go reload at my last save, I accidentally saved over top of it instead. So, I'm gonna have to remember which questions were the ones I did today. I think I started on this one. What do you really look like? What? Well, about a few thousand lines of assembly, code, and a few gigabytes of memories, I suppose, sitting on a hard drive somewhere. I don't really know what that looks like. Oh, I guess you actually meant before I died, didn't you? Well, about a few thousand lines. Wait, what? Why aren't you? Well, I was 13 years old when I woke up and 16 when I died. Well, I looked younger, but I wasn't really all that different, just shorter, I guess, and smaller in other places too. Everyone always did say I was pretty, though, even when I was really young, so just, I guess, picture a shorter version of me without the glasses and with my hair in some dumb braid or another in a handbook, and that's pretty much it. I never really got to dress up the way I wanted to. Even, this is the first time I've been able to wear my school uniform since I was 13, before I got put in stasis. How silly is that, being excited about wearing a uniform? I mean, you know how much I was into cosplay. I never really had a chance for that when I was alive. So being able to dress up in something that's totally known as a suit, I actually think that's really exciting. Why do you ask? What are you thinking? You look good. Well, thank you. Well, we should really get back to more serious stuff, don't you think? How old are you? Isn't that the one question you're never supposed to ask a woman? Jeez, so rude. Well, I was born in the year 2415, then was put into stasis for I don't know how long. Then I lived for another 3 years and died about 622 years ago, at the age of 16. So all of this happened 600 years ago? What the heck's happening in this universe other than this? Like afterwards, I just want to know more. But I'm not gonna get the answer from her. So, you tell me how old I am. I don't know. Really, I don't think it really matters at this point, does it? Freaking mute. How do you feel about mute? Oh, of course. Of course that'd be one of her questions. Well, let me put it this way, I suppose. Did she have anything nice to say about me? I honestly cannot remember if she did, so I'm gonna say not really. That's what I thought. Oops. Dropped something. Well, I didn't know much about her other than what I've read in other people's logs. She never talked to me, ever. I mean, she wasn't above talking about she wasn't above talking about me, but no, never anything to me. That's all I know about her. She's a gossip. I don't even want to speak to her right now. Why couldn't you just settle for a happy marriage? I don't like you mute sometimes. It's not like I ever thought as a child I would never marry. You tell me though, could you marry someone you only ever talked to once? Well, this is true for me. She got very angry when I said this, so if she was the right person. Oh, wow. Well, that's really romantic. I like the idea, I really do. I wish things really did work that way. But it's hard to share my optimism. I'm sorry, I got kind of cynical fast. And anyway, even if I did believe in love at first sight, this wasn't love. He wasn't the right person, and nobody ever even pretended he would be. You've read the same logs as I have. How much love is there? Do you really think it's just my merit that was awful? You've read what Sojin wrote. Here, you should read the letters the two older Kim sisters wrote each other. You could see for yourself that what mute means by happy marriage. Mine was just a political marriage, plain and simple. Come on, you know that. Love had nothing to do with it. Did you ever have any friends? After waking up from stasis, I only ever had one single friend. Oh, two I met, now that you're here. Aww, heart. Anyway, before it was just her. The queen, my husband's wife, Ryuji Wa. I wrote about her a lot in my diary. I'll just show you. It's probably better if you read it for yourself. These are from right after I got married. I think it's this one I was skipping. Yeah, so I'm gonna skip this one for now and do that last because I feel like she's gonna get angry at me. So. Plus, I think there was this block. These are all really interesting. At least to me. So let's start with the first one. Dear Sunhee, I wish we had more of a chance to talk before I left. I'm sorry it was so sudden. Not my choice, please believe me. It's really weird living in someone else's house. Even just like the place itself, you know? The walls of the house are way smaller. There aren't even separate women's quarters. It's pretty much just a paper divider separating us from the men most of the time. You can see and hear everything. It's so very weird. Also, there's a lot more to do around the house. If you thought Mom was strict, wow, Mother-in-law makes her seem positively gentle in comparison. I know, I'll just have to get used to it, but she kinda scares me. Plus, we don't have any servants here at all, so I'll have to handle pretty much all the chores. I'll try to write to you regularly, though, so long as I can find the time. Mother-in-law keeps me pretty busy during the day with housework, and my husband keeps me pretty busy during the night with other work. It's pretty much chores all day, every day. But I'll try to sneak in another letter soon, alright? With love from your older sister, Yoonmi. Dear Yoonmi, I wish you could have found the time sooner, but if you say you're busy, fine, I believe you. Things aren't very interesting at home. Mom's been really busy lately. I think she's in a big hurry to get me married. I wish she wasn't. How come you didn't have to do interviews until you were 14? Lucky. One of them seems nice, though. I think the man's name was O. I talked to his mother about you for a little bit. Don't remember what brought it up, but I told her about the dolls he left me. The second interview we did, she brought me one of hers from when she was my age and said I could keep it. Interviews suck, but I think I'd be fine with marrying her son. I mean, if I really have to. She sounds better than your stupid mother-in-law. Love, Sunhee. It's this one. Show her that one. Oh. That's for later. Let's see if I do the first one. Does I get the same message, or is it always going to be that? Okay. So, because I accidentally saved over my last save, I couldn't go back to when all these were fresh. So when for these first 2 or 3 messages, when I showed them to her, she's like, yeah, they were nice now, but then they have falling out. You'll see what I mean. And then gave me a bunch of other letters. So, here you go. Thanks for being able to come to my wedding, even if it was just for a day. Don't worry about what Mom said about you not having kids yet. You shouldn't take that personally. I was really happy to see you again, since I wasn't sure if I ever would. I love you, big sister. I'm sorry for bothering you with this so soon after we spoke, but I really need you to answer something for me. I really don't have anyone else to ask, and I'm really worried about something. It's really embarrassing, but I just have to know. The night I moved in, my husband and I slept together. I'm not ignorant about how that's supposed to work. I know why. Afterwards, my husband said everything was fine and that I shouldn't worry, but it really hurt. A lot. I was crying the whole time, and he injured me so much. There was blood everywhere. I know I'm not supposed to question him, but that's not normal, right? Should I insist on seeing a doctor? He seemed nice besides that, so I just don't understand. What should I do, big sis? Love, Sunhee. Dear Sunhee, no, you didn't need to see a doctor. I'm sorry to be the bringer of bad news, little sister, but I'm afraid your husband's right. That really is normal. Don't worry about freaking out either. You're a lot younger than I was when I got married, so it's probably even worse for you. I'm so sorry. It gets a little easier after the first time. It's still uncomfortable though, you just have to endure it. That never changes, I'm sorry. Don't worry about the crying either. Men actually find that to be attractive, so just keep doing it and you'll probably make him happy. If you're lucky though, you'll get pregnant quickly and won't have to worry about any of that for months. That aside though, how have you been? How's your new family? I haven't heard much about them. I keep trying to ask Mom to tell me about your husband, but all I got was that lecture about how I was nearly 3 years old when she'd been married for as long as I had. As if I'm not trying. So do tell me more about him and his family, please, Sunhai. I'd love to know. With love from your older sister, you and me. Dear Sunhai, I stated in my last letter that I was pregnant, and thanks for the congratulations, but I hope you didn't rush to tell Mom. You'll have to send her the bad news. It was a false alarm. I'm afraid I bled this month. I hope you're doing better, little sis. Your child is due any day, right? Love, you and me. Dear you and me, I wish I could have written you sooner, but I'm afraid I haven't had the time, what with having a real pregnancy and all to worry about. You will see that she is very good at these, saying things that she doesn't really realize how much they would hurt to say. And is also very good at backhanded compliments. And all to worry about. My mother-in-law insists that I take the time to write to my family though, so I just finished a letter to Mom first. Sorry about your false alarm. I did tell Mom and she wasn't very happy to hear it. I'm sure you're not really surprised by that though. The good news, I gave birth 2 weeks ago. Her name is Jenny, and she's the cutest little child you'll ever see. She reminds me a lot of our little brother, although she has her father's eyes, really. I really wish you could meet her. I just know you'll think she's absolutely adorable. So I'm a mother now. I still can't think of myself that way. It's so weird. Right now she's just so small. She can't even lift her head. But every time I look at her eyes, I wonder how I'm going to be able to raise her. Mother-in-law says I shouldn't worry. It'll come naturally and she'll be there to help. I guess that's true. I definitely don't know what I'd do without her, and at the very least, I'm sure I wouldn't ever get any sleep. It's just scary, you know? Wasn't it just yesterday that we were playing together in our father's house? Now it's been nearly 16 years since I was born. I'm a wife and a mother. How did we get so old? Skin crawls. I mean, it could be worse. I know that's a good age for both of those things, and that it's really disappointing if you're older and haven't managed that. Girl, really? Should you really be saying that right now? I have it good, but it's just odd to think about. But I'm not complaining, and oh, when you're a mother you understand why, big sister. I just love her so much. She means everything to me. Anyways, I'll stop rambling now. I think Shanine is crying to be fed now, and mother-in-law can't help with that. So I'll leave it there. Take care, sister. Love, Sunhee. Dear Sunhee, well, maybe you could use a little more caution in what you send to Mom, because it's not like you don't know how annoyed she can get, especially at me. There's a reason you're the only one she still actually talks to. I'm trying, you know, but I can only do so much. Congratulations on your daughter. I'm really excited to hear about that. Yeah, it's a shame that I can't see her. She sounds wonderful. I don't really have much else to say. I just wanted to acknowledge your letter. Things haven't really been worth talking about. My mother-in-law is still a crazy tyrant, and my husband and I are still trying to have a son. Nothing new, nothing worth mentioning. I'm glad things are going much better for you. With regards, you and me. Dear you and me, how long has it been since we last wrote each other? It feels like it's been forever. I wish you wouldn't be such a stranger. I have a 2-year-old son now. His name is Taiyuan, and he takes after his father in a lot of ways. He just started to learn to talk now, much earlier than Janine did. No surprise, but Janine is a real sweetheart. She's what reminded me of you. 2 of them had fought, so I was scolding her. I told her that I was disappointed, that I expected better from her as an older sister. I gave her the whole filial responsibility speech, you know, the one that Mom always used to give. It's funny, I hated that so much as a kid. I promised myself I'll never guilt my own children that way. Now I just think to myself, well, it worked, didn't it? Anyway, she asked me what it meant to be an older sister. I had trouble with that one. Finally, I said, it means you should be a good role model. Teach your little brother what it means to be responsible by example. Show him. That was a good enough answer for her, but I thought about it, and it's not a good enough answer for me. Not at all. It's you that I've been thinking of, and you know, I turned out okay. I wish I could take back what I said and tell Janine what I'm going to tell you. You don't have to be perfect. You're not a good role model, but that's fine. I love you anyways, big sister, and I always will. Backhanded compliment, girl. Really, you need to think about these things a bit more. Even if everyone is disappointed in you, even if you're not really family anymore, as far as I'm concerned, you're still my big sister. You don't have to be perfect. I loved you, period. Please write back, sister, even if you don't have good news to report. I just want to hear how you are. Love, Sunny. And then I show her this message, and there's one more that you and me never sent. I'm going to warn you now, though. It's really intense. Are you sure you want to read it? Yes. Very well. There you are. It's been added. Don't say I didn't warn you, though. Dear Sanhai, you know what? Fine. I'll tell you the truth. That false alarm? It wasn't a false alarm. I didn't lie about the bleeding. That was true. But I really wasn't pregnant at the time, more than I let on in my letter. As in, morning sickness, giant belly, you could see it. I was really pregnant and bleeding. My husband brought in the doctor immediately, who asked me all sorts of questions about everything. I was fine. Perfect health, no injuries, I told him. So he pulled out his instruments and started listening for my son's heartbeat. And listened, and listened, and listened. It felt like forever that he kept trying. I couldn't understand why he couldn't find something I knew just had to be there. The obvious never occurred to me. He had to explain it. I'm sorry, the doctor said. There's no heartbeat. The fetus is dead. He couldn't do anything about it. It took a week for the actual miscarriage to happen. It was the worst week of my life. It was hellish. He just had 2 children. I'm sure you know that wonderful feeling you get when you realize you're a child, that you know that you're going to have a baby. I can feel him inside you and imagine what he's going to look like and what he'll grow up to be, and that right now he's depending on you more than he ever will to keep him safe. You know the feeling, I'm sure. Just the day before, I had been so happy. I was going to finally have a child. After I found out, I could still feel him, dead, but still inside me, sloshing around. The day before, I thought I was filled with a beautiful life, but I was actually filled with death. I would have no son. What I was carrying was just a corpse weighing me down. I thought I'd feel better once I expelled it, but then I saw it, this awful, bloody mess that should have been a son. It was awful, so awful. After I saw it, my husband had to force me to wash myself because all I wanted to do was crawl into my bed and die. I didn't get out of bed for a whole month after that, save for a brief hour, so I could write to you and tell you that I wasn't pregnant. Eventually I recovered. I realized it wasn't my fault. Eventually we started trying again. After all, what you, Mom, and Mother-in-law have all been implying is right. I'd be a lousy wife if, after 8 years of marriage, I still hadn't had a child. So we tried, and I did eventually get pregnant. Then it happened again. That was half a year ago. You're right, I'm not perfect. I'm as broken as it gets. The one most important thing in the world for a woman to do, and I can't. You've been pregnant twice, and now have 2 wonderful children that you love. I've been pregnant twice, and all that's happened is I've killed them both. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know why. The doctor says I didn't do anything wrong, but clearly I can't bring life into the world, in this world. The only thing I can bring is death, little sister. Today I overheard my husband talking to my mother-in-law about considering taking on a second wife to actually give him a child. He sounded really disappointed in me. I don't know what to do. Kill myself, maybe? Since killing seems to be the only thing I can do. It'd be better for everyone. It'd be easier on my husband. He wouldn't have to worry about me being a disappointment, at least. It's the only thing I can think of. What else could I possibly do? You and me. Oh. Yes. Okay. For some reason it's not showing me which her response to this was. So I believe it was something along the lines of how it was really tough for her to read, and how this is what Mute calls a perfect marriage, or happy marriage, and no, they're not always happy, and yeah, stuff like that. I don't really remember word for word. Kind of just trying to prove our point that all marriages weren't happy. Which has already been proven again and again in this game. So anyways, block 6. Oh, wow, so we have a lot more logs to get. Just Us Wives, the Pale Bride. Dear Diary, I guess it's been forever since I cared enough to write anything down. Just haven't seen much point. Since my last entry, I got married, moved into the palace, and lost my virginity. Apparently for a girl my age, none of these things are really all that weird. The queen finally insisted on talking to me the night after I first slept with my dearest husband. I'd been expecting it. My sister warned me that she would probably be jealous, and I'd just have to endure it. She outranks me, and I would simply have to kowtow to her if need be. I hadn't had to yet, though. We had tea together, and she at least had started by acting friendly. I'm sure sister was right. I'll get the brunt of her anger soon enough, but today she was friendly. "How are you holding up?" she asked me after we finished with tea. I shrugged. "Do trust me. I know how hard it can be for a newlywed. I've been through it myself, but I was at least older. You probably miss your family, do you not? That's what would be expected from any good girl." So I nodded. "It gets easier with time." I had no response. "I'm sorry, am I bothering you? You can leave if you wish. I simply thought you might like some company." I wasn't sure how to respond to that either. I just clasped my hands and shook my head. "I just wanted to be sure," she said. There was a long pause that followed. Finally, she asked, "How was last night?" It surprised me that she was willing to bring up the subject, figuring that it was a segue into her being vindictive? Segued into her being vindictive. I have no idea. Towards me for sleeping with her husband. I shrugged as she continued. "I just know he can be rough. Nobody ever talked about it, those duties, with me." Then she smiled, and I felt almost like I could drop my guard. I had no idea what to expect my first time. Do believe me, I'm not jealous. That is nothing to be jealous of. But do tell me how it was. It made me think back on the last night. Honestly, it was the best night I ever had since waking up in the future. Everyone, my mother, my sister, and now my queen, warned me that it would be hard. It would be a duty and nothing more. I honestly did love it. I would have let him keep me up all night if he had the energy for it. I guess while I was thinking about all that, I let out a slight smile. I caught myself, but not before she noticed. "Oh, did you enjoy it then?" she asked, touching my arm. I jumped. "Please, please, be at ease. That is perfectly all right too. So long as you know it's just for him. There is absolutely no shame in that. There is none." I expected her to jump into something passive-aggressive from that, but she didn't. All she did was change the subject and said that she really was worried about me. Maybe she isn't so bad. So, you can see, she was kind. She was good to me. She really was. I take it you want to know more about my marriage then. What are you interested in? Her. Shewa. Then you're in luck. She's in all of these entries. She's really the only thing in my life worth writing about for the most part. There's one in there that she wrote herself about her husband, and you can see for yourself. She's a lot stronger than I ever was. So you can see for yourself why I admired her. And, just read them, alright? Let's read the other one she showed me, though. "Dear Diary, attending to my husband has been easier than I was afraid it would be. Yes, there's days when it requires more strength than usual to keep going. I'm still getting increasingly more sick. Nothing will change that, but it's not so bad, really. All I have to do is dote on him and try to anticipate his desires, and he's happy with me. No abuse or anything. Sure, it's not as if I like him. He's an ugly 40-year-old man who cares only about politics and never tells me anything. Love, well, that's certainly no concern. I don't know where I ever got the impression that was something that could happen in a marriage. I thought it was something from the past, but well, I was young before I got put in status. It must have been a mistake of childhood. But so long as I do as I'm told, I'm not mistreated, like I was by my sister, and sleeping with him feels good. I really hope I don't get pregnant soon. I don't want that to stop. Doing that is really the only thing that makes me actually happy these days. Well, that and Shewa talks with me. She's nice. She keeps me company when I stay up to wait for his return. She fetches servants to take me to bed on those days I was too feverish to sit for too long, and she just talks to me, as if I'm a friend. I don't really understand why, but I guess she really doesn't hate me after all. Do let me tell you, she said one evening while she brushed my hair. I always wanted a little sister growing up. That's how I think of you. Does that make sense? I shrugged. It was nice of her. It felt so relaxing to let her touch my hair like that. She was waiting for a response anyway. By now she knows better. She just keeps talking kindly to me. See if we can also get the messages from about her husband. Okay, her husband. I'm sorry, I'm not really ready to talk about him, not beyond what I wrote in my diary. It's just too hard. It's not as if we had conversations. You think our relationship is one-sided? You have no idea. Anyways, here, I give you some more. There's an entry from G1 in there. She did talk to him. She was, well, a lot stronger than I ever was. So you can see why I married her. And I'll just read them, alright? Boop. And... oh. We haven't got that one yet. Illiterate. The more she lives in my house, the more I am confused by the mystery that is the pale bride. No wonder why my husband has been favoring the Kim family lately. Their daughter seems to be the perfect woman. She's not simply a pale beauty. She's always too shy to speak at all, let alone argue. Seems to hang off his every word, and it turns out it's actually so completely humble in her education that she cannot even read. Well, or rather, she cannot read normal characters. I have reserved her writing to herself, and perhaps what may be a diary. When I asked what it was, she wouldn't say, but was quick to hide it. I cannot recognize a single character on her screen, however. They seem simplified compared to regular writing. Perhaps she has invented a writing system just for herself? It is very strange. Did you ever receive those letters I sent to your house before you arrived? I asked her, curious. Seemingly she had. Did you read them? Her response was worried, as if she was scared that I would be angry to find out that she hadn't. I was not, of course. I'm sorry, I assumed. Are you able to read? That's when I found out that she wasn't. I offered to read them to her, to which she seemed quite enthusiastic. I mean, I am likely to leave out some parts, however. I had enough difficulty bringing myself to writing the most embarrassing parts of the family history. Bringing myself to talk about them, even if I know she would never say anything, is just far too much. Like all the things with her, I cannot tell whether her enthusiasm is sincere or an effort to make me happy. This troubles me. Of course, I wasn't illiterate. I could read just fine, but not their stupid Chinese-based characters. I mean, I could understand them, now. Everything except for my diary entries is translated from them. It's such a dumb way of writing, though. It makes everything come out so stilted compared to proper Korean. Well, anyways, you're showing me that because you're interested in my admonitions, right? Sure. Then here, I'll give you the letters she sent. They gave all the details, even the ones she was too embarrassed to tell me about at the time. You could probably guess which part she cut out. It's pretty obvious. It's the incest thing that she never told me about at the time. Haven't read about it now. Oh, I don't really blame her. And well, here you can see what I mean for yourself. Did we already read all those? Like, I have to go see because I feel like we got this already. Yeah, we already had all those. I guess that's just in case, for some reason you didn't somehow? Dear Diary, I've been thinking a lot about how close my death must be now. Lately I've been getting prone to fainting spells. It probably goes right along with my diminishing appetite. The doctor from the past was right. I still got over a year left to live. Maybe more. He said it wasn't very likely to get bad enough to kill me until I was at least 18. Although maybe all those years in status may have changed that, I don't know. But he was right, and if I hadn't lost track of time, I'm 16 and a half right now, so there's still a while. I've been trying to hide the signs of sickness. Even if I could explain, I know full well that nobody would believe me. So far, hiding it has been mostly working, although I did have one of my fainting spells when my husband was on top of me. He wasn't angry at me, though. I don't think he cared. I don't know why I write about these days of sex with my husband and conversations with his wife. The Kim family would be proud, I guess, but those two things are all that really worthwhile in my life. I have other responsibilities, of course. They're just not that interesting, and that's about it. Anyways, the Queen has continued to be nice to me. Wait, what? She finally figured it out. When we were having tea together one afternoon, she was talking about nothing in particular, and she asked me a question that I just shrugged to. Hope you do not take this the wrong way, she then said, but there is something I would like to ask you. I nodded. I don't think I ever heard your voice before. I nodded again. Why don't you ever speak to me? Are you just saving that for the Emperor? I didn't know how to respond. She was so close to getting it. To bringing up the subject, I wasn't able to. Yet that wasn't the right question, so I shook my head and hoped that her next question would be. It was, then, Hyun, she asked uncertainly, are you mute? I felt like screaming yes at the top of my lungs. I was so happy that she finally figured it out. I smiled and was about to nod enthusiastically, but suddenly I stopped. What if she thought less of me if I said yes? If she knew that the reason I was so quiet to me wasn't because of any sort of discipline. Those were the things people liked about me. Would she stop liking me if she knew? What if she told my husband? I was so terrified. I couldn't think of any correct answer. If I said no, I'm sure she would have asked me to hear what my voice sounded like, and I would be forced to disobey. If I nodded, then she'd know I wasn't really trying hard to be a good wife. I'm sure she would talk to my husband about it, and so he'd know too. But while I stared at her in terror, thinking of how to respond, she sighed and sipped her tea. Don't worry about it, she said. You don't have to answer that. Please do forget that I ever asked. You know, nobody ever noticed that until her. Nobody cared. Nobody thought any of it, or cared enough about me to find out. But she did care. She actually paid attention. She was great. Wasn't it? I'm trying to remember back. Didn't she decide to be mute on her own? I think she did. Okay. Arguing the Emperor. Arguing the Emperor? Doesn't make sense. Anyways, my concern over the pale bride's conditions has grown lately. She seems to grow even quieter. It's such a thing is possible for a mute girl. Perhaps saying she is mute is an assumption too far on my part. I tried asking her directly, but she seems too scared to answer. That simply makes me more suspicious, and I should like to know why. I addressed my husband on the matter, telling him that I wished to speak to the woman that became family house, to see if I could find out what's wrong. He shrugged me off and saying, "Don't. They're valuable subjects. The son is someone I have my eye on in particular. Politics of the situation are far too delicate for you to be meddling with." I cleared my throat. He might be both my husband and my emperor, but I would not let that stop me from being bold. "My dear husband, I don't care," I said flatly. "I am worried about the girl, and I believe that talking to her mother might shed some light on the matter. The son is of no concern to me." "I don't see why it matters. She's a perfect woman. Why are you jealous?" he said, rolling his eyes at me, a gesture that he had only been able to use on me and his servants ever since becoming emperor. Nobody had the patience for it when he was a child, and I don't have it now either. "In Ho, dearest, do you believe that the well-being of your wife is a political matter, or even an external matter?" I asked. He didn't. "So would you say it's a domestic matter?" I asked. He reluctantly agreed. "Then as a domestic matter, it is the responsibility of the woman of the house, is it not? Please tell me. You are obviously more well-bred in the classics than I said, both of us knowing he wasn't. "Fine," he said. "But just because it's your responsibility does not mean I can't overrule you." He left silent, followed up. "I don't have to take this from you." "You do know that my concerns are valid, though," I replied. "If you value my opinion, you will let me speak to the king's mother." There was a pause, and he raised his hand in annoyance. "Very well, do it. It's woman's business. I don't want a part in it, regardless." Then he just shook his head. "Why must all our conversations be arguments?" I smiled at him and left. He already knows the answer. I never knew about that when we were alive. Like most things, I only found out after I took over the ship's computers. It just amazes me even more. Look at her. She's a woman who actually stood up to a man and won. She wasn't clumsy like I was. She knew how to work it from her position. Isn't that so amazing? Yes. I think we have one more, and then I will call it quits for tonight. Dear Diary, you always forget how terrible it is to cry yourself to sleep until it happens. Sorry, I was looking at the time. It's just the ultimate feeling of helplessness. But what's new there, right? I just miss her. Even if she scared me, I miss her so damn much. Jerwa was the only one who was sympathetic to me. Why did she have to die? Is that my fate? Anything that makes whatever short life I had left bearable must go? Fate just hates me, I've decided. I don't know what killed her. I overheard one of the servants saying that the doctor claimed it was too much worry, causing an excess of wood in the spleen, which he claimed to be common in an oversensitive woman. I was baffled by the absurdity at the time. I still am now. My only friend is dead, and her diagnosis is absolutely insane. What do you even say to something like that? Well, I guess it's not like I need to worry about knowing what to say, but in light of that, it doesn't surprise me that nobody ever believed I was sick. With medicine that stupid, why would they? All I did is reinforce how hopeless everything is. I just constantly wonder, why did my father or my own doctor think that people would be smarter in the future, that medicine would be better? My servant has been helping me get through all the funeral stuff. Well, maybe she's been guiding me through the rites. Practically doing them for me, really. I'm so weak and so stunned. I don't know how I have been getting out of bed. I couldn't describe any of the ceremony. It's all a blur. There's been lots of black dresses, I suppose. That's my only impression. And crying. Lots of crying. For me. Look. Please, do you trust me? I'll try. Please understand my position at the time. My world was so small. I just lost my only friend. And then I'll give you my last 2 diary entries. They have the whole story. Please don't judge me while you read them, please. And with that, I think I'll call it quits for now. I hope to see you again in the next video. Bye!